If you want top pay, excellent benefits, flexible work hours, and the opportunity to work in a clean, modern, air-conditioned facility with great people, contact me today by applying online at GarnerIndustries.com.
This is the Happy Hour.
You guys going to happy hour?
Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America.
Yeah, I'll come for a couple.
Here are your hosts, Nick Sainert.
I want to know what it's like to commit a crime without having to spend time in jail.
And Enrique Alvarez Clary.
C is for chunk.
Brought by Empire Fence and Netting on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome in to the first hour this week. It comes to you on a Tuesday because Matt Rhule decided to schedule his press conference during our show.
Okay.
First already off on the wrong foot.
Yeah, first rule of being in Lincoln, Mr. Coach Rhule, never schedule a presser during the happy hour. All right?
I mean, what are we doing here?
You should know better than that.
So there it is. 402-464-5685, the Honda of Lincoln hotline. The Starter Heyman text line, both those open for everybody this entire show today. Nick and Rico hanging out with you guys as always. We want to hear your thoughts on the Honda of Lincoln hotline and the Starter Heyman text line or the Starter Heyman Jewelers video stream, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. All right, so Waterboy says, sup, boys? May as well call that amateur hour on his part. I think, we might have to let it slide. We'll just say we'll chalk it up to him being new here.
I'll let it slide depending on the hires he makes.
Not understanding the landscape of sports radio in the city of Lincoln, Nebraska.
He needs to understand 93.7 The Ticket runs this.
Here we are.
You're just another show.
Yeah, just another show.
Coach Rhule.
Not the most important.
Nah,
I'm just kidding.
You ain't the main course.
You're not the only one getting paid $9 million a year.
I don't know who else.
I don't know who else is, but you're not the only one.
There are other people. Not here, but there are other people.
Yeah, Nebraska Nolan says, just saw a report that South Carolina has announced that they lost their offensive coordinator to Nebraska. That is true. Shane Beamer went on actually a sports radio station in wherever
a sports radio station.
No. It would be
Columbia.
I keep wanting to say Charlottesville. Nope. I know that's not right. Anyway, Columbia. And said something along the lines of Marcus, it's great connection with Marcus and Matt Rhule, and we're happy for him. Here, I can pull up my Twitter because I retweeted it. I guess it's a good point to say. You can always follow Rico and I on Twitter, Nick_Sainer and at Radio Rico AC. Okay, so this was Shane Beamer, South Carolina's head coach, on 107.5 The Game in Columbia, South Carolina. Carolina.
Wow.
107.5 The Game, FM Sports Radio. Shout out to our fellow FM Sports Radio friends.
Rookies. But quote, only FM.
Yes. Shane Beamer. Quote, we want to wish Marcus well getting connected with Coach Rhule out at Nebraska. Cool opportunity for him and appreciate his work in this program the last couple years as well. So they are looking for a new offensive coordinator at South Carolina, and it seems as if Nebraska has their new offensive coordinator in Marcus Satterfield, who is coming from South Carolina. There's been a lot of thoughts on his offense the last couple weeks and how it differs from the rest of his career. Mm-hmm. The last 2 weeks, obviously wins over Tennessee and Georgia, and South Carolina put up like a total of 94 points or something in those two games combined. So people are freaking out about that. But we kind of know Matt Rhule's offense, and I've kind of watched. I watched the Big 12 championship game in 2019 against Oklahoma, that overtime thriller, just a little bit ago, and then last night I kind of talked about this on 80 and Raf's show. I was watching the Sugar Bowl from 2020 against Georgia, and if it's anything similar to what we kind of saw in those games while Matt Rhule was at Baylor, they're going to need a quick decision maker at quarterback. RPO type, you need to be able to read defenses. There's going to be Casey Thompson talked about this yesterday in the article. that he told and his comments that he said to multiple outlets yesterday was that his quarterbacks, Matt Rhule's quarterbacks, quick decision makers, a lot of pre-snap movements, a lot of reading defenses, in addition to the already need to be able to read defenses as a college quarterback. So here's the deal. I would also say this for Husker fans, because there's a lot of talk about guys that Nebraska may lose to the transfer portal. There's a lot of talk about guys they're trying to still keep. I think the door has opened significantly more when it comes to Casey Thompson specifically in the last 48 hours.
I mean, Matt Rhule said that he talked to the players. You got the comments from Casey Thompson. He was talking about watching film.
Excuse me, Tennessee and Clemson, not Georgia. Not Georgia. Thank you, Kirk from Georgia. I apologize. Tennessee and Clemson. Clemson's the F word.
How dare you?
Let me tell you.
They really are.
Clemson's
really
the
are.
F word. Okay, go ahead, Rico. I apologize.
Sorry. You heard Matt Rhule talk about how he talked to the players, and then Casey Thompson after the presser talked about watching, game film, watching games, and talking about the quarterbacks in those systems for Matt Rhule. He talked about talking with PJ Walker, who was his quarterback at Temple and for a little bit up in Carolina, and talking to Charlie Brewer, who was his quarterback at Baylor, and kind of picking their brain on what a Matt Rhule offense is going to be like. And this isn't saying that Casey is going to stay. Yeah, this isn't saying Casey's going to go, but he was speaking with former quarterbacks that have quarterbacked under Matt Rhule, and I believe that he would be a pretty good fit for that type of offensive system, especially, the last couple of games for Casey Thompson. He utilized his legs a lot more. Now, we're not saying that he's going to be a, massive threat with those legs and that he's going to, run for over 600 yards in a single season, but just the added threat of his athleticism, his speed, and the way that Matt Rhule's offenses have seemed to work, and the RPOs and the quick decisions and the arm strength that Casey Thompson has, it all seems like it's almost a match made in heaven between both of them. So if Casey Thompson is to stay, the offense that Matt Rhule has run in the past, now I don't know much about Satterfield's offense, but I know that Rhule's offense and Casey Thompson would work pretty well.
Well, Matt Rhule talked about what kind of players he likes to recruit yesterday. He said that during his press conference, and we might have a soundbite that says this specifically, but he said something along the lines of, we like them big and we like fast guys. We like big and fast guys. And so with that in mind, Nebraska, we'll start to see kind of their recruiting profile. Just to let everybody know, recruiting wise, Nebraska, their current staff, Matt Rhule and company, reoffered Cameron Lenhart, the target from IMG that was previously committed to Nebraska.
Decommitted after the firing of Eric Shenander.
Yes, decommitted after Eric Shenander got fired, and then was still on Nebraska's board under Mickey Joseph and Bill Bush, still on their board, still in communication.
He posted a couple of things on his Instagram, his story about Nebraska from time to time.
Yeah, but now today he was reoffered, and he's a 4-star outside linebacker / defensive end from IMG Academy in Bradenton, Florida. So that's kind of something to watch there. We've seen them offer a couple guys. It's different because you remember when Scott Frost came into town, and this has been something of Scott Frost and his staff the last 4 years and change, was they sent out a plethora of offers, but you didn't know how committable those offers were, number one, and number two, how much evaluation went into those offers. So now what's interesting here is you'll remember that Matt Rhule said yesterday he hadn't talked to the assistant coaches quite yet. And when recruiting was brought up yesterday, he said, we're going to take a look at the guys, not only that they have committed, but also the guys that Nebraska's current staff or previous staff was already looking at. And we'll see, if they fit what we want to do. So we're gonna learn a lot about how different of a body type Nebraska may be looking at in these next couple weeks when they send out offers.
He did say that his recruits and his players are going to come in all shapes and sizes. So it's not like he's going to cut anybody out if they're an offensive lineman because they're under 6'3" or something like that. He's going to look at a bunch of different people, and if they've got the heart, if they want to play football, I'm sure that Matt Rhule will take a good look at that, and his coaching staff and his recruiting coordinators will take a look at that, and send out offers where guys fit in for this staff. Because again, I don't want to take shots at anybody, but before you would see linemen getting offers for the previous staff, They're all over 6'6". They're 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", just, power forwards that didn't quite make it in basketball and are going to, put on some weight and try to block some people. And, that's all good and well if they can, play the position. But if you can get a guy who's 6'4", 6'3", and, is a dog, then that's much better. A 2-star 6'3" guy who's ready to block and ready to take somebody's head off would be better than a 6'6" guy who's just big.
Yeah, I agree. And I think once again, stuff that stuck out to us yesterday, and it is all talk. Like I'm seeing the texts from previous shows. I saw them this morning. And I'm seeing them now of, well, that's all talk. We'll find out. We want to see results. And I get that.
We're a day in.
But so far, yeah, we're a day in. We are 3 days into this hire officially. And so far, number one, you have a guy at head coach who we know for a fact showed up at work at 5 a.m. this morning. And
maybe he was there before. Maybe just got
at least showed up to work at 5 a.m. He talked about how he's a grinder and he wants guys around him that are grinders. We are slowly but surely figuring out kind of Matt Rhule's staff. Terrence Knighton, nicknamed Pot Roast.
Shout out to Pot Roast.
Is going to be rolling up to Lincoln.
8-year NFL veteran.
Yeah, and spent time with Matt Rhule for a while here. But once again, with one of the greatest names in the entire world, Pot Roast.
Love it.
And so he's going to be there. Obviously, there's a lot of other rumors. And
who's going to be really happy about that hire is Raph.
That's right.
Because he did a lot of his damage for the Broncos.
That's right. So funny enough, Raph texted AD and I already in our group chat and said, "Oh yeah, Terrence Knighton, former Bronco."
Of course he did.
And then with the hashtag Let's Ride,
everything is a Broncos connection.
Everything has a Broncos connection. Anyway, and obviously the Marcus Satterfield one hasn't been confirmed by Nebraska specifically, but when South Carolina's head coach Shane Beamer goes on to sports radio in Columbia and talks about, looking for a new offensive coordinator, that's as much of a confirmation as you need right now in today's world. So, we're slowly starting to figure things out, but everything now, once again, although it be early, the things that Matt Rhule had talked about how he wants to operate his program not only aligns with what Husker fans want, but aligns with what Trev Alberts has been preaching since day one of the job. And that's something I alluded to earlier this morning on AD and Raph, was when you hear Trev Alberts talk from day one of him getting this job to whatever day number we're on right now and hiring Matt Rhule as the next head coach.
You want to add all the days up?
No, I do not. It's all been the same. Like the message that we hear from Trev Alberts is always the same.
He doesn't waver.
He doesn't waver. It's consistency, it's communication, it's accountability, and it's being on the same page. And obviously there's more and deeper things, trusting the process, being focused on the details, having a details-oriented operation on a day-to-day basis. But I think that's telling when, and gives comfort, I think, when you look at maybe the guy that Trev Alberts decided to hire. Whoever it would have been, whether it was Matt Rhule, whether it was Mickey Joseph, whether it was Urban Meyer, whether it was Chris Kleiman, whoever it was, although we don't know much about ex-coach, whoever would have been the name, I think we know enough about Trev Alberts that gave it a little bit of comfort for the next 7 months until we talk about fall camp. I think that provides a little bit of comfort because Trev Alberts, unlike maybe coaches that Nebraska's had in years past, doesn't waver, or so far hasn't wavered from what he preaches his values are, how important characteristics and just being on the same page is to him, and also him being accessible. Like Nebraska is one of these places where the fan base is so passionate, Rico, that they want to feel like they are connected to the people making the decisions.
They want to be a part of everything.
They want to feel like even though they're not,
good and bad.
Yes, they want to feel like they are part of it and involved because they care so deeply. Exactly. And so being able to see Trev Alberts at a football game where you can't get within 5 feet of him to shake his hand because that's just how football games are. That's one thing. However, being able to see him at a Husker softball game, sitting in the middle of the stands, in the middle of all the other general fans, or going to Husker women's basketball games and seeing him walk in with his wife and with his family and being able to go up and shake his hand just out of the blue.
Sitting front row at volleyball games.
That's accessibility. And then when you think about previous regimes, both head coaches, both athletic directors and athletic department leaders, that was not the case. That's not the case. How often did you see Sean Eichhorst out at other things? No, you rarely saw it.
Same with a robot.
Same with Bill Moose. Like Sean Eichhorst, you barely saw him on the field at football games. He was always up in his box.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was after the games, he'd get interviewed and Bob Diaco, he'd talk about Bob Diaco and Bob Diaco talk about
Well, it was
him.
always, if you heard from Sean Eichhorst, it was weird because you never heard it. So if he talked, it was like, okay, what's happening?
Yes,
like
you always
what's
think
going to be the breaking
bad
news?
Happening.
Who's getting fired? Who's getting hired? What's happening here? If Sean Eichhorst spoke, it was generally, a sign of concern. That you were extremely surprised when he talked, and that, to the point of, we had a robot voice here for Sean Eichhorst because the dude never talked to anybody.
Yeah. So I just think I think then you hear Matt Rhule in his opening statement yesterday now, and take it with a grain of salt, because as AD likes to say, trust but verify. And I'm on board with that. I'm truly am.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying all this to overhype and say that you guys need to start, buying season tickets and make sure you go to every single game because Nebraska's going to win all 12 next year. I'm not there, and I'm not trying to be there. However, it was encouraging and refreshing to hear something different in saying that, and we had this with Mickey Joseph. Let me make that very clear. We had this with Mickey Joseph and his family, Priscilla, all of them. It was refreshing, though, now that the permanent head coach, the guy that just signed an 8-year deal, number one, said all the things in his opening statement to align himself with Trev. But also, number two, outwardly, without hesitation, without being prompted, without being asked about it, wants to be a part of this community. Wants to be out at the local diner, as he said.
And he was.
He had some walleye food there. They posted on Facebook. I can't remember the name of the place. Started with a C, I think. Anyway, it was some bistro here in Lincoln. And I get it if you're on that side of the coin where you're like, that's all scripted. Of course he's going to say that. He's trying to win over the crowd. Did it work? Did it not work?
Did he get you?
Because and I understand once again that Carmelis, thank you, Jory. But I get that if you are hesitant, and I get it that you won't put your stamp of approval on it until wins come on Saturdays. But for the time being, day 3, so far, there's things that you can look deeper at and take away that are encouraging and refreshing from what Nebraska's had recently. Right? What Nebraska's had recently. They want to feel like they know the head coach. Nebraska fans do. Mm-hmm. They want to feel like they know the head coach away from just what they see at the press conferences. Why? Because it's easier to cheer for him, right? It's the same thing with athletes. If you know athletes off the field as the 17 or 18 to 22-year-olds or 18 to 24-year-olds, they're easier to cheer for when you know them as a person rather than just the athlete. They're easier to cheer for. So there's that same sentiment can be given and transition to the coaching staff as well. And so I think there's reasons to be somewhat excited. All right, let's go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we will kind of hear some sound bites as well from Matt Rhule's press conference. We'll also get your guys' thoughts. 402-464-5685, the Honda of Lincoln hotline, the Starter Heyman text line. Both those continue to be open for you guys the entire show. We'll be right back. You're listening to the Happy Hour on 93.7 The Ticket.
Follow Nick and Enrique on Twitter at Nick_Saint 8 or of the hour is X37 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Are you looking for a solid, stable career in assembly, CNC machining, or injection molding? We got you covered. Hi, Bob Williams, HR Director for Garner Industries, a world-class manufacturer with a 70-year history right here in Lincoln. And I just listed some great career opportunities that you can find by logging into GarnerIndustries.com. If you want top pay, excellent benefits, flexible work hours, and the opportunity to work in a clean, modern, air-conditioned facility with great people, contact me today by by applying online at GarnerIndustries.com.
93.7 The Ticket. Fox KFXL weather. Sponsored by Security First Bank. A relationship you can count on.
A winter weather advisory will be in effect throughout the day as we'll see periods of freezing drizzle late this morning, mixing with light snow by early this afternoon. Temps falling into the mid-20s. North winds could gust over 40. We'll eventually see clearing skies tonight with a low 15. Sunny with a high of 33 tomorrow. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Tractor Supply Distribution Center in Waverly is having a hire event this Friday, December 2nd and Saturday, December 3rd. Stop by between 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Friday or from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Saturday to learn more about their opportunities for your next career. Interviews will be conducted both days. Wages grow up to $20 per hour. Make plans to attend Friday or Saturday at 12851 Dover Street in Waverly. And if you can't make it, you can always apply at tractorsupply.jobs or text Tractor DC to 25000. Tractor Supply, for life out here.
Warhorse Casino Lincoln is open, and guests are winning big already. Get in on the fun at Nebraska's first casino. Try your luck on your favorite slot machines and join the Warhorse Rewards program for exclusive offers. The best is yet to come as we continue to build a world-class experience for our guests. Right off Highway 77 and West Denton. You'll always leave feeling like a winner at Warhorse Casino Lincoln.
Must be 21 or older to enter. Proper ID is required. Gambling problem? 1-833-BET-OVER.
If you're in Lincoln, Waverly, or the surrounding area, listen up. Select Plumbing gets it right the first time on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate at 402-560-6197. Plus, they're hiring service plumbers. If you're in Lincoln, Waverly, or the surrounding area, contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197.
You spend a lot of time on your feet. At work, at the gym, on the golf course, it can be exhausting. Are your feet as comfortable as they could be? Brown Shoe Fit delivers all the sizes and widths that you can imagine and that most other stores can't compete with. If you're looking for a specific brand, they have it. New Balance, Brooks, Keen, Clarks, Echo, Rockport, Merrill, many more. All sizes, all widths. Stop trying to squeeze into your shoes and sacrificing comfort. Find your next pair of shoes for any endeavor at Brown's Shoe Fit, just south of 66th and Q in Lincoln.
Hey, it's Nicklin Hames from Nebraska Volleyball. I hate wasting time in practice, and I want to help you stop wasting your time when you're looking for an electrician. High Electric has been serving the area for over 30 years for both residential and commercial properties. They are experts in everything like remodeling, new additions, hot tub installation, and more. And they take jobs from Beatrice to Omaha and all towns, big or small, in between. Call them today or learn more at high-electric.com.
At Venue Catering and Events, we offer two of the most historic ballrooms in Lincoln. The Jasmine Room, located in the historic Grand Manse in the heart of downtown, featuring a beautiful built-in antique bar, spacious patio, and soaring skylit ceilings. The Scottish Rite Ballroom, located just 2 blocks from the state's capital, boasts intricate hand-carved columns, rich dark wood floors, and lavish chandeliers. The perfect venues to host your wedding, corporate event, or much more. For availability and more information, call us at 402-603-6483.
John Henry's Plumbing. Heating and air.
When it comes to your home or business, we know you have options, and that's why John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning gives you just that, options. We have plumbing, heating, and cooling memberships to serve all of your residential and commercial needs. We want to ensure you, your family, and your business are safe. Visit our website, jhlincoln.com, to find out more or call us at
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing, Heating and Air.
Victor deployed for the first time to Afghanistan in 2003. At 4 a.m, my phone rang. They said, "I regret to inform you that your husband was wounded in action." Victor sustained a moderate traumatic brain injury. I was doing school full-time, and I was also then caring for Victor. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself. I just didn't want to forget that I also had goals and that I also had a life. What I did is I challenged Victor to meet me halfway. There are almost 6 million military and veteran caregivers across the nation. We have our own journey, and we can fulfill that journey at the same time that we are helping our loved one.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey. and better care for your loved one and yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Are you tired of lousy internet and faceless customer service? It's time to experience local, honest, hassle-free, and exceptional. That's the Allo Promise. We not only provide crazy fast fiber internet, crystal clear TV, and dependable phone service, but we choose to become a part of the communities that we serve and love when everyone calls or stops by our store to say hello. So, don't settle for mediocre, settle for exceptional with Allo. Visit us at allofiber.com/local.
You're listening to the Happy Hour with Nick Sainert and Enrique Alvarez Clary, sponsored by Empire Fence and Netting on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Back into the Happy Hour. Having the ticket, theticketfm.com. Nick and Rico hanging out with you guys. 402-464-5685, the Honda of Lincoln hotline, the Starter Heyman text line. Okay, so O'Shawn just sent this out, O'Shawn Mathis. And shout out to Rico for showing this to me. I'll soon, he says this, quote, I'll soon be speaking with Mickey to see what the future holds, but right now I'm leaning toward the draft. That is Nebraska's O'Shawn Mathis. Currently. Now, with that being said, I mean, does that feel like if Mickey returns to Nebraska, O'Shawn returns to Nebraska, but if Mickey does not return to Nebraska, O'Shawn goes to the draft?
Now, so you could look at it that way.
Okay.
Or you could look at it he respects Mickey's opinion so much that whether he's here or not,
bingo, okay.
That whatever he hears from Mickey, whether Mickey thinks that he's ready to go into the NFL draft or he should stay another year, he respects his opinion so much that regardless of if Mickey is on staff or not, he will listen to what he has to say and decide to stay at Nebraska another year or go into the NFL draft. I mean, those are the two things I'm looking at. It's either he's talking with Mickey because Mickey is going to let him know whether he's going to be on staff, not on staff, or he just respects Mickey's opinion so much that regardless of if he is on staff or not, that he will listen to him and stay at Nebraska or enter the draft.
So, there's just something interesting there that we should keep tabs on. There's going to be a lot of that coming up here in the next couple months, couple weeks, if not
decent amount
soon.
Decent amount of players that could stay at Nebraska, could enter the NFL draft, could transfer, whatever. It's going to be a really interesting next couple of weeks. Again, before even, once the transfer portal window opens and, early National Signing Day, it's going to be December is going to be a wild month in the state of Nebraska.
Yeah, so early signing day is just a couple days before Christmas, I know. Is it the 23rd?
I looked it up. It's something like that.
So it's a couple days before Christmas. Usually it's on the Wednesday. It is when it starts.
So it'd be the 21st.
Okay, so tentatively.
I'll look it up, though.
So Rico's checking that. But so you have signing day. You have the portal that opens up December 5th. Where once again, just to kind of refresh, we'll go over these, rules and regulations regarding the transfer portal as we go forward. But guys will not have to sit out if their coach gets fired or they have a coaching change in their program. So here's what's interesting, Rico, or if they're a grad transfer, obviously all that starts, is new or isn't new, I should say. Cade McNamara yesterday entered the transfer portal from Michigan as a grad transfer. But
also injury.
Thank you,
Christian Pulisic.
Oh no! what a change of events.
Yeah,
a change of
looked
the tide.
Up, he's laying in. So he's laying in the goal.
He went right into the lap of.
So he scores on a header. Right? No, not a header, but he gets just kneed in the gut. So he scores the goal, might be hurt. Oh, that looks painful.
Yeah, that was.
So you're up 1-0, but you also just possibly lost your best player.
Yeah. Okay, so once again, 402-464-5685, Starter Heyman text line, Honda of Lincoln hotline. There's a lot of thoughts on this here. Mr. Unbelievable just shows that if you keep Mickey, Rhule will not have the room and it will be controversial with Mickey. Just going to have a fraction in the locker room. That's why Mickey can't stay.
I don't believe that
Go ahead,
at
Rico.
all. I don't believe that at all because Mickey Joseph is he's a great guy, a great coach, and he understands that if he does stay, he's not going to cause a fracture in the locker room. With the way that he thinks about things, he's going to know that, this is the head coach, and he's going to talk to his players, talk to the guys who maybe, have more faith in him than Matt Rhule, whatever. They're going to talk to him and be like, hey, even if you like me more than you like the head coach, you need to play and respect this man, because in order for you to show that you respect me and you like me, you need to do the same for the head coach. He's not going to go out of his way to cause fractures in the locker room, and I'm sure the players understand that as well. But everybody has a favorite. If you ever played sports, everybody has a favorite coach. It might not be the head coach, but you still respect your head coach. You still play hard for your head coach, because if you are, if they know that your favorite coach is this guy and you're holding back at all, they know they're going to go to this guy. They're going to have that person talk to you. So Matt Rhule would go to Mickey, have Mickey talk to, those players if there's any holding back or if there's any resentment being felt in the locker room.
I'm curious. So Unnamed Texter says this: hiring Rhule was already the wrong move. He's hiring his buddies just like Frost did. I'm curious because think about it on the flip side. Okay, think about this on the flip side, to where Nebraska or Matt Rhule specifically went out and hired guys that he had little to no connection with.
Mm-hmm.
What would be the thoughts? What would be the opinion?
Would you be looking at it as he's going out and getting the best guys? Or look, there's a difference between bringing your entire staff with you from your previous coaching stop and hiring people that you know and trust and respect because you've worked with them before. There's a difference between that, because he's bringing in people who he worked with at Carolina. He's bringing in people that he worked with at Baylor, at Temple. He's bringing in people that he knows work with what he's trying to do. He respects them, but they also have experience coaching in other places. He's not bringing in people who have, and I'm not saying that the coaching staff that Frost brought in only worked with him, but he's not bringing in people who were just with him and only know that style and are going to just try to bring that same style from wherever they were to where they are now.
And maybe I'm way out on this.
Only hire your enemies. It's true. Hire people that hate you.
Maybe, but like we think about how awkward the situation was with Scott Frost and Mark Whipple, right? At the beginning of the year, how awkward everything was in the offseason when we thought this team was going to be much better than their record was indicating, right?
Mm-hmm.
Think about how awkward that was. Now, that was a very specific situation in where Scott Frost did not want to give up play calling, did not want to, and that's a very specific situation. But I think it is also important, as Rico said, there's a difference between hiring your buddies and hiring your best connections. Now, time will tell if these hires pan out. But I think wherever a new coach goes, wherever a new coach may be, he's going to hire his quote-unquote buddies because that's who he's going to have the most trust in, to where, once again, we talk about as a head coach, have that CEO. And when you have that CEO role, you are able to trust all of your assistants to do their job. And Matt Rhule alluded to that yesterday, is that he wants to surround himself with guys that have the same mindset, that operate on a day-to-day basis the same way that he does. So that way he doesn't have to be heavily involved in a specific room or a specific group. That way he's able to just kind of go around and roam and say, yep, let's just fine tune this a little bit, but then leave it because he trusts those guys that he's installed and who he's put in charge. So I think when we look at these and we say how Matt Rhule and Scott Frost both hired all their buddies, first of all, we don't know Matt Rhule's entire staff yet, but from the first initial hires, they may be his quote unquote buddies, but it also could be changed in saying that it's his best connections that he has through his time. And I think every single coach, whenever they go to a new place, would hire the coaches that they've coached with previously. It's not like Nebraska. It's not like Matt Rhule was going to come in here and go grab, I don't know, Jeff Lebby from Oklahoma, who's a top-notch offensive coordinator, and at the time when Marcus Freeman was a defensive coordinator, go grab Marcus Freeman and say, yep, us three are going to mesh well together perfectly.
I've never talked to you. I mean,
that's not going to happen.
They've probably talked to each other before, but it's like I've never had an extended conversation with you. I don't know you very well, but I know that this is going to work.
Like that.
I know that when we get into
happen.
When we get into the thick of things, when we're in a game and we're down 7 points and there's a minute left and we're driving the ball, that I can trust you and I'm gonna, we're gonna start talking about plays and we know exactly what the other person wants. We know our players that like you just said, there's a difference between hiring your buddies and hiring people you've worked with before. And that's what Matt Rhule's doing, is he's hiring people who he's worked with before, who he trusts, and who he believes are going to do the best job that they can at this university.
Now things, I mean, obviously 3 years down the road, we're going to look back and say hindsight's 2020, and here we are again. And there's a chance of that. But I think there's a chance of that every single place you go and every single new coach you hire. I mean, if Nebraska hires Luke Fickell, he's going to bring in guys he trusts. If Nebraska hired Mickey Joseph, I guarantee you not all of the guys that Scott Frost brought in were going to stay on Mickey Joseph's staff, and guys that Mickey Joseph trusted were going to be brought in. That's just part of the business. And that is why when Mickey Joseph said it on Friday in the postgame press conference that he understands this business, that is the truth. It's the brutal honesty of this business, that guys want to be surrounded by other coaches, especially when their reputation is on the line here. Mm-hmm. And especially when you're coming from a place that you failed horrendously at in Carolina in the NFL, they want to be surrounded by a group of guys that they trust and that they truly believe will make their situation, their reputation, and their perception of that head coach better and improved than what it was when they got here. And if you think it's just hiring a buddies just to hire buddies and just to spend time with friends, I would say that Division I football coaches aren't like that. There's a certain competitor aspect to them, and characteristic aspect that I think all of them have to possess, and they wouldn't think, oh yeah, we're just going to come here and hang out. And well, I mean, some may, but I don't think Matt Rhule with what he says and kind of his track record, I suppose, would not. I'm not worried about him just hiring buddies just to come and hang out with. I'm just not worried about it right now. But once again, we're 3 days in, so what the hell do we know? All right, let's go and take a break. When we come back, we'll have the crossover. Strick and Nate will join us for the crossover. Once again, USA up 1-0 on Iran. The USA needs to win to advance past this stage. So they need to defeat Iran. They cannot draw today against Iran. I've said Iran 3 times in the last
just keep going
20 seconds. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll be joined by Strick and Nate coming up on the Happy Hour.
Download our app by searching 93.7 The Ticket in your app store. Just touch. You are. What's next on 93.7 The Ticket, ticketfm.com.
If you're in Lincoln, Waverly, or the surrounding area, listen up. Select Plumbing gets it right the first time on a variety of issues for your home and business, including general plumbing, water heaters, faucet and fixture repair, underground sewer and water repairs, backflow testing, and more. Keep your property free from leaks and other issues. Call today for a free estimate at 402-560-6197. Plus, they're hiring service plumbers. If you're in Lincoln, Waverly, or the surrounding area, contact Select Plumbing to inquire at 402-560-6197.
At Koppel Chevrolet GMC, we are thankful for so many things this year, starting with our great employees, a generous community, our military personnel, and most importantly, our loyal customer base that continues to drive that money-saving mile of Louisville. Hi, this is Sean Callahan, and on behalf of everybody at Koppel, we want to wish you a happy Thanksgiving and safe travels to wherever they may take you. Happy holidays from Koppel Chevrolet GMC.
Tractor Supply Distribution Center in Waverly is having a hire event this Friday, December 2nd and Saturday, December 3rd. Stop by between 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Friday or from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Saturday to learn more about their opportunities for your next career. Interviews will be conducted both days. Wages grow up to $20 per hour. Make plans to attend Friday or Saturday at 12851 Dover Street in Waverly. And if you can't make it, you can always apply at tractorsupply.jobs or text Tractor DC to 25000. Tractor Supply, for life, out here.
Are you looking for some holiday fun right in the heart of downtown Lincoln? Bring your friends and family to Lincoln's largest drive-through Christmas lights experience. This show features countless high-quality lights in vibrant colors, holiday props, and favorite characters of the season, all synchronized to music to enjoy in your car. Start a new holiday tradition this year and experience the magic of Nebraska Christmas Light Show at Haymarket Park from November 26th to January 3rd, 5 p.m. to midnight. Purchase tickets today at NebraskaChristmasLightShow.com.
Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. It's soul food right here in Lincoln. Ribs, wings, catfish, coleslaw, cornbread, grits. I mean, I'd say it's food like your grandma used to make, but my grandma never made food like that. If you haven't already, you've got to give it a try. Check out their location across from South Point at 27th and Pine Lake, or find their food truck at events all over town, or visit them online at maryellens.com to see the full menu. Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. Let them fix you a plate. Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Gaina Trucking guarantees a 40-hour work week year-round, and their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Hey, it's Nicklin Hames Nebraska Volleyball. I hate wasting time in practice, and I want to help you stop wasting your time when you're looking for an electrician that has been serving the area for over 30 years for both residential and commercial properties. They are experts in everything like remodeling, new additions, hot tub installation, and more, and take jobs from Beatrice to Omaha and all towns, big or small, in between. Call them today at 402-466-6606 or learn more at high-electric.com.
Working at Continental in Lincoln isn't a job, it's a career. And right now they've raised wages again and they're hiring for production operators at $24.11 per hour, which grows to $28.27 per hour within 3 years. Skilled trade positions now start at $32.76 per hour with opportunities to make more based on certifications. Continental also has salary jobs available and great benefits, plus medical and prescription costs at very low premiums. Dental, vision, and life insurance are offered at no premium cost to the associates with increased bonuses and vacation for new hires. To learn more or to apply, go to continental-jobs.com with keyword Lincoln. Come work at Continental today.
Action Plumbing, Heating, Air, and Electric is the call I make. I have a need for plumbing services. Whether it's for my home or office, if I need a repair to a water heater, softener, or even my garbage disposal, I know I can count on Action to help. In one simple call, their amazing customer service team promptly schedules a service call, often getting to my needs within a day. Action delivers honest, quality services we can count on. To learn more, visit actionlincoln.com.
Wow, did you ever save me money on my car?
Yes, that's why our customers keep coming back.
How do you do it, friendly car dealer ?
We simply have low overhead and high trade-in values. The next line's yours.
Oh.
For something better, Mullen Motors is a no-hassle, no-pressure dealership with financing. Check out inventory at MikeMullenMotors.com.
No taglines, just quality vehicles. Mullen Motors.
This message is for Karina, our mom who finished her high school diploma at age 28. Hi, Mom. It's Emma and Nicholas. Continue your diploma. Go hard enough.
When you graduate, they graduate. Finish your high school diploma for you and for them. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
You're listening to the Happy Hour with Nick Sainert and Enrique Alvarez Clary on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back. Final segment of the Happy Hour right here on 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. Little Mac Miller. Get your
R.I.P.
started.
That was actually, Rico, I remember when they announced that he died. That was a very, very sad time.
It was a very sad time.
Because he was, I believe, only 26.
Something
Young.
like that.
Sad. Very sad. Very talented.
Rip Mac Miller. Love all his music. It's fantastic. But little head coaching news. Again, I said head coaching news, so nothing with Nebraska. Georgia Tech, which was rumored to be going after Willie Fritz out of
I saw that
Tulane.
yes.
He says that he's staying there. So Georgia Tech decides
he's staying
to go.
at Tulane?
That's what he said.
I thought that was official.
I thought it was too. Nope, he's staying at Tulane. And Georgia Tech promoting Brent Key, the interim head coach, to full-time permanent head coach. Brent Key, the new head coach at Georgia Tech. So the interims this season, I believe Arizona State's keeping their interim on staff.
Yes.
Auburn said that Cadillac Williams is taking over. He's going to be associate head coach.
Ooh.
Brent Key being the permanent head coach. A lot of interims staying on staff around the country. Still waiting to hear what Mickey Joseph's role is going to be, if there is one for him here at Nebraska, however.
Also, it'll be interesting to hear what happens or see what happens with Jim Leonard. Because I don't know if they've already said that he's staying.
They have not. The players want him to stay.
The players want Mickey to stay, it sounds like.
The former players definitely want him to stay, and we're blindsided and think he should have gotten the head coaching job. Jim Leonard at Wisconsin is what we're talking about right now.
Luke Fickell.
And the current players also want Jim Leonard on staff, so we'll see what Luke Fickell decides to do, who he decides to keep on staff, and if he keeps Jim Leonard as defensive coordinator or not. And then, as we're talking about that here in Nebraska, Matt Rhule, what he's going to do, what Mickey Joseph is going to do if they decide to keep him on staff, if he decides to stay on staff, just what happens there. Because as you've seen, a lot of former players, a lot of current players, and a lot of future possible players want Mickey Joseph on staff.
Well, it's really interesting, and I think it's frustrating because I've heard fans on both sides of it, and I probably land somewhere in the middle. Because do I want Mickey Joseph back? Absolutely. I was an advocate for him being one of the top options for the job. Now, that obviously didn't happen, and now Matt Rhule is here, and I'm confident that Matt Rhule, after that press conference, is going to lead Nebraska where they need to be. But at the same time,
you just bought all in with the presser.
I am bought in with the presser because I'm a sucker for a good speaker. I think that speaking is a skill.
You done gotcha.
And I think that the thing is, though, I understand, because my biggest hesitancy, and I don't know about you, Rico, and then I'll go into some of my frustration. My biggest hesitancy was what happened in Carolina. And after hearing the press conference, I can understand how that might not work with professionals. The buy-in, the development, you're going to come here and be a better person afterwards. Like, that is great for college kids. And that's absolutely what you want a college kid to say, because these are young men that are growing up to be adults and are going to be productive members of society. And a big part of college, too, you got to remember, 98% of these kids will not play in the NFL. There is 2% that will play in the NFL. Matt Rhule's proven that 2%, you will go to the NFL and you'll be successful. For that other 98%, you're growing them up to be productive members of society. When you get to the professional ranks, no one gives a damn about that. They care most of the time. Now, there are obviously exceptions, and those are usually the teams that are successful. A lot of the time, you're dealing with egos. You're dealing with guys that are, a lot of them paid more than the head coach.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of them are older than the head coach, not in this scenario, but you look at the Sean McVays, the Shanahans. That's kind of the way, the Cliff Kingsbury. A lot of those guys are older than the head coach. And then on top of that, there's so many incentives that happen throughout the NFL season that I need this catch for $100,000. I need this tackle. I need this. There's so many extracurriculars that go outside of playing the game and going to class. So I can understand how the rah-rah buy-in doesn't work in the NFL. So I think that's what eased a lot of my hesitancy. But to the point I was trying to make, I can understand how he might want to get his own guys. It's guys you trust. You're building your program. You've been the guy. Trev Alberts has said, I trust you to turn around the program. He doesn't know Mickey Joseph. And I'm not saying he can't get to the point where he hires him. I'm not saying Mickey Joseph shouldn't be a part of the staff. I'm just saying from the outside looking in, I can understand it. Do I agree with it? Probably not. I think Mickey Joseph deserves to be a part of this program, and I think that he is an asset to this program, and under no circumstance should he leave. Playing devil's advocate, I could understand how Matt Rhule might be a little hesitant and want to bring in his own guys. I get it. I'm playing the middle guy.
No, and I totally understand that, and I get that. But if you look at it from, just the Husker perspective of things, the way that he was able to, and I know people are gonna, push back on this, and I'm not saying that. Look, the program was in a better place at the end of the season than it was at the beginning.
Absolutely.
Of the season. I don't think
always said that.
I don't think that anybody can dispute that.
No,
but when Mickey
you
Joseph took over, they got, if you were looking at this team after the loss to Georgia Southern and thinking, yeah, I think they can, win more games on the schedule, you're probably fooling yourself. There was
Indiana.
It was well, even then it was questionable. It was not a good team. It was not a good team. And Mickey Joseph took over. The Oklahoma game happened, but that's fresh off the firing of your head coach. You go into a bye week and you did something that Scott Frost and co weren't able to do: win out of a bye week. You win out of a bye week, then you win the second game, and then the season went how it went, and then you did something that Scott Frost and co and the previous coaching staff weren't able to do, and that's beat Iowa.
Right.
He was able to take this team after losing their head coach, after losing their defensive coordinator, and he was able to keep them together to the point of they only lost one person to the transfer portal. And I understand that, people are going to say, oh, well, it's the middle of the season. There's nowhere they can go. They want to get, more tape or whatever for when they do enter the transfer portal, whatever. You lost one person in the transfer portal. The team seemed extremely cohesive. They were
even
just
more
the words that they were using to describe Mickey Joseph and how much they cared about him and how much they loved his coaching style was just astronomical. It was just on a different level. And keeping him around isn't, and I understand that Matt Rhule doesn't know him personally.
Right.
Professionally, I'm sure he knows him. I'm sure they've crossed paths.
All of them know each other.
I'm sure they've crossed paths at some point. So, they know of each other. They know each other's maybe coaching styles, but personally, maybe they don't know each other.
Right.
But if you look at the impact that Mickey Joseph not only had on this team, but had on this state, has on the recruits that might possibly be coming into this team, I think Matt Rhule would be foolish to let Mickey Joseph leave this state,
agree.
to walk out of the door without whatever title you decide to give him and the amount of money that he is deserved.
I completely agree.
And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Nebraska has the first shot at Mickey Joseph.
Yeah.
If they lowball him, he is gone. He knows what he's worth. He knows what he deserves. And I don't care what anybody says, saying, "Oh, well, he doesn't have the head coaching experience. He's only a receiver coach and a quarterback."
That's garbage.
I don't care. He knows what he's worth. He is worth more than he was getting this season.
Absolutely.
You need to pay him accordingly, keep him on staff, and you will see the fruits of your labors during next season. And I'm not saying that they can't be successful without Mickey Joseph. I'm sure they can. But in my eyes, you will have more success in your first year if you keep somebody that the entire roster respects and adores.
I agree. If you want to do a station ID real quick, there's something I want to ask you after this.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
I think what would also be interesting to see when it comes to Mickey Joseph, what does that role look like?
Mm-hmm.
Because are you going to then move him back to wide receivers coach, associate head coach, or whatever his title was before, and have that be the same title, just paid more? And then if you're Mickey Joseph, do you accept that offer? Like, I think there's a little bit more that goes into it, because I think you're right, Rico. I think Mickey Joseph has built a resume that if you put him at, I don't know, I would even say a mid-major, certainly an FCS school. If I was an athletic director and you're an FCS school and you just went 2-10, 3-9, whatever it may be, I would absolutely take a hard look at Mickey Joseph.
Dude, if I'm Tulsa,
without a heartbeat.
If I'm Cincinnati, I'm looking at Mickey.
Exactly. I completely agree.
Do you know how amazing Mickey, he is a fantastic recruiter. He's
I
a great
thought
guy.
Tulane
How
was
amazing he would do at Cincinnati. Because think about this. Think about how good Luke Fickell did at Cincinnati. And, this is just kind of throwing it out there. Cincinnati's getting the leftovers from Ohio State's recruiting. So you're not going to get the 5 stars or anything like that. But they had a 4-star tight end that just decommitted today. You're getting the remnants of an Ohio State recruiting. And with Mickey Joseph and the way he's able to talk to people, you're going to steal a couple. You're going to steal a couple who maybe were thinking about going to Ohio State and are just like, hey, I'll go to Cincinnati. They're going to be in the Big 12. They've had a lot of success lately. I mean, he would have amazing success there. And like I said before, Matt Rhule I don't want to say a fool, but it would be crazy of him to not attempt extremely hard to keep Mickey Joseph.
For what it's worth, he has said, and he said in the press conference, I'm going to have multiple conversations with Mickey Joseph, and I'm going to see where he's at. So, I think of seeing where he's at, I think what plays into that is, hey, Mickey, what type of role are you looking for?
Mm-hmm.
And also on top of that, I completely agree. Mickey Joseph was underpaid for this entire season. But on top of that, Matt Rhule has been given $7 million for, it sounds like, 10 positions. What does that look like? Does that mean just spitball in here, $1.5 million to a defensive coordinator, $1.5 million to an offensive coordinator? Boom, that's almost half of your salary. That's almost half of what you're given.
You have enough to give three strong assistants, whatever, 7 figures, and then build from there.
I agree with that. I completely agree with that. There's just so many dynamics that go into this. And I'm just mentally preparing myself. I'll be honest with you, Rico. I think that Mickey Joseph's going to be offered a head coaching job, and I think that he very well could take it.
If he's offered a head coaching job, I don't blame him. And somebody on the text,
I don't blame him at all.
If he's offered a spot and decides to leave, then you all will still blame Rhule. No, I won't. If he's offered a spot and he decides to leave and
it's a better opportunity,
takes a coordinator job,
takes
a head coaching job somewhere else, okay. I don't see a problem with that. I'm not going to blame Rhule because he did what he could to attempt to keep Mickey. He did what he had to, or he did what he was trying to do. He's trying to keep Mickey, and if Mickey decides to take a different job somewhere, be it.
Listen, man, like that. At the end of the day, that's the name of the game. Coaches move all the time. That's the reality of it, and it stinks and it sucks. Trust me, I wish that Nebraska could bring in the best offensive defensive coordinator in the country, and he never leaves, and Matt Rhule never leaves. Guess what? If Matt Rhule leads Nebraska to a college football playoff within the next 3 years, he's probably gone. I'm sorry to tell you, but you know what? That's the name of the game.
And that's fine.
That's how it works.
Yeah, somebody said something about why would you sign to an 8-year contract if he's never stayed longer than 4 at any other place? And it's like, well, that's kind of the thing is if he does leave, you offered him an 8-year contract. If he leaves of his own accord, you don't have to pay him.
Right.
So you get to keep all of that money. And if he leaves of his own accord, guess what? He's more than likely leaving you in a very good spot.
And that's what I always say. And I think it's so interesting that Husker fans get so frustrated with, he's just going to leave him 3 or 4 seasons. To be honest with you, that's great.
That
sounds fantastic because not only does that mean you're competing for a Big Ten championship, in my opinion, you're probably competing for a college football playoff spot. And where Nebraska is right now, you haven't gone to a bowl game in 6 seasons. If you have a guy that's winning 10 or 11 games and you're even in the discussion, listen, this is what I'm talking about. There is a graphic that they make for the college football playoff. You are part of that graphic. If that's what's happening at Nebraska, you know what? Leave. I appreciate what you've done.
Mm-hmm.
You've put this program in the right direction. I'm okay with that. But on the flip side of that, why are we saying don't sign him to 8 years because he's going to leave after 3 or 4? Good. That means that the program's doing well.
You're not out any money.
You're not out any money, and that means the program is in the best shape it's been in what? 15, 20 years?
Something like that.
Cool.
Best 15, easily.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
And,
sign me up.
Yeah, no. I'm down with that.
Sign
if that
me up.
happens, if he wants to leave after 3 years, it means Nebraska is in a fantastic position. I'm good with it. Leave after 3 years. It's fine. And we have some text in here. The fascination with Mickey is becoming cringy. Why? Because he's an amazing coach? Because he's an amazing recruiter. He did a good job as the interim head coach. I don't know what's so cringy about that. I think he's fantastic.
And the entire fan base loves him, and all the players love him.
I think he's amazing. And if he stays on staff, that the staff is better for it. If he leaves, whatever. He's gone. I will root for him wherever he goes, and I hope that the staff here does fantastic in his absence. And then Tyler says, so then everyone needs to get over him not being the head coach here. Didn't happen. Move on. Okay, he's not the head coach. I think he should
still like him being part of the staff.
I think he should still be on staff.
I do too.
But whatever. That's going to do it for the happy hour. Tomorrow's going to be pretty volleyball heavy. Bringing in Lincoln Arneal to talk about the volleyball team. They've got a presser later on that day, and then they take on Delaware State on Thursday, the first round of the NCAA tournament. See you guys tomorrow.
John Henry's Plumbing, heating and air.
When it comes to your home or business, we have options, and that's why John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning gives you just that. Options. We have plumbing, heating, and cooling memberships to serve all of your residential and commercial needs. We want to ensure you, your